Hello, nice to see you again. Today I want to talk about the fact that I don't think we need a niche as such. I think that one of the biggest goals now in this kind of online space is to find our own authentic and unique voices and to develop them in our own authentic and unique ways. And so if you are one of those people that doesn't really feel like you fit into any one box in particular, then this video is for you. And as per usual, this video is also for me because these are the things that I've been thinking about lately, and I'm finding it really useful to talk about them on camera, you know, and kind of distill my ideas into a long form video as opposed to the treadmill that is other social media platforms. You know, I've always been told to find a niche or to niche down, and I'm just really not sure if that's the direction I think that is the most useful moving forwards now. And if I was to recommend a direction for people who are thinking of doing their own thing, it would be to niche down with caution. You know, don't do it at the expense of losing your own voice within that. I think the time that I've spent on other social media platforms has been not wasted, but it's been perhaps not used most wisely, because I find that I don't really, as an individual, I don't really fit into a box, and I never have done, and I've always struggled with identity and even knowing who I was. And that has expressed itself in various ways over the years, whether it's, you know, addiction to drugs and alcohol, which I talk about a lot, you know, and even now in my own recovery journey, I still don't feel like I really know who I am a lot of the time. But I guess I'm learning to accept the fact that I don't need to know, or, you know, I just need to be comfortable with not knowing. But, you know, I never fit into a box, and I know a lot of people don't either, and I think we're at a really brilliant time in history now, well, you know, in the present moment now, where we can really be ourselves, granted on camera, you know, but there is so little performance required from us in 2025, and in fact a lot of my favorite creators now are just, they're not performing at all. You know, this idea of personal brand is slowly, in my best estimation, dissolving, and you know, we seem to be entering an age where just being our authentic and genuine and unique self is really where it's at. And I think in my own experience, I'm going to benefit from being my authentic self more than trying to be somebody else, you know, because I've always felt lost trying to package myself and my art and the different kind of work that I do into, you know, this box or that box. And I've tried a variety of different things, none of which have ever really stuck. And, you know, for a long time I've been beating myself up about the fact that I could never really follow through with any of the projects that I've started in the online space. You know, in the real world I've done exhibitions and the like, and art fairs and, you know, that sort of stuff, galleries. But online I found myself on a bit of a cycle really of, you know, doing one thing and kind of not really following it through and then getting burned out and starting a new thing and not really following it through and burned out and start a new thing. And, you know, I don't really necessarily think that I was starting afresh every time. I think, you know, it's like they say, isn't it, the spiral sort of gets tighter and tighter the more time that we spend on it, and we do come closer to our authentic self eventually by trying and failing multiple times if necessary. And so that's what I would suggest, you know. And for me, as a new creator on YouTube, I am really excited about this platform now. It actually fills me with hope, and it fills me with, excitement is the right word for it, because, you know, unlike other social media platforms, this is, I really like the real sense of community here, and I like that people actually are very supportive of each other and leave interesting comments. And I think that I can affect more change through these kind of videos than I ever would be able to on other social media platforms and through short form video content. You know, there's a big push for short form video content now, but I don't think that it has a long future ahead of it, personally. I think, speaking for myself as someone that doesn't fit in, you know, and I'm speaking perhaps to you people that don't fit in either. Yeah, it's done with me, for me already. The only time I use short form content is when I'm feeling like rubbish, you know, when I want to just forget about the world, which is I know in my experience not a healthy way to use anything. So yeah, you know, there is a massive pressure to brand and to create in today's culture, and I think I'm trying to take a step back from that and just be myself. And you know, I feel like my unique voice is my own unique voice. I'm 32 now, and I've been developing it over the last, well, 5 years, and you know, it's taken a lot of time. And I think as human beings, we are very, very, very layered in many different ways, and you know, to try and narrow things down too much and become a kind of one-trick pony, I don't think it has the potential to keep going for a very long time, you know. And I think if you're in it for the long haul, like I am, then I would suggest just leaning into who you really are, you know, and being as unafraid as is possible at the present moment. I'm still a work in progress, you know. There are many, many days where I am not my authentic self, and where I, you know, wear masks and pretend to be somebody that I'm not. But there are also days where that isn't the case, and I think it's very possible to build a life where we don't have to pretend to be somebody that we're not. That's the beauty of the internet, I feel, and particularly with a platform like this, I feel like I can just be myself, you know, and express who I really am, and just show up as Joe, you know, and not as somebody I'm not. And I do truly believe that if you are authentic, the right people will find you eventually, you know, without a doubt. That's been my experience in the real world, but it's also increasingly becoming my experience in the online space as well. And so this is an interesting one, because the right people will find you, but you have to put the action in. And this is something I struggled with for a long time. Is I've always put action in, but what I have been trying to control is the results. And I think when we try and control results and outcomes, it leaves us feeling disappointed with what is actually the case. And so my recommendation would be that if you want to find the right people, you have to start doing the right things. You know, I do a lot of stuff in real life, which again I think is important to mention. You know, I go out a lot to creative and cultural events because I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm someone who enjoys sharing ideas with people and having not always deep, but always authentic conversations, you know. And for me, authenticity doesn't have to be deep all the time. We don't have to be talking about philosophy to be authentic. Some of my favorite conversations are with people I meet in the shop or at the supermarket, and it's just a quick little chat. But you know, you can feel the realness there. And so yeah, it's coming back around to the original point of just needing our authentic voices, and our authentic voices being the most important thing in today's age, you know, not just for the online space, but for the real world as well. With regards to like any kind of networking or professional development, or even interviews for jobs that I've had, I know that when I show up as my true self, not only do things go better for me, but I also attract the right kind of people into my world. I think if you're giving off an inauthentic energy, or you know, you're trying to be something that you're not, then necessarily you're going to attract things that aren't a good fit for your authentic self. So yeah, we are the niche. You know, I am my own niche. I have no idea where this channel is going, but I'm enjoying making these videos, and I think that's the most important thing. You know, and I feel very much a part of it already, and I only have 2 subscribers, and I got 10 views on my last video, but such is life. If you've got anything from this video, if you found it useful in any way, please let me know. I'm moving my camera around to different spots every day, and I'm going to do a bit of colour grading and put some nice subtitles on. and maybe try and play around with the thumbnails a little bit. But you know, this is just exactly where I'm at the moment. I'm learning how YouTube works as a platform. I'm trying to put out a lot of content, and I'm trying to just be authentic, and that's what been my recommendation for you as well. So thank you for listening, and have a great day.